Welcome to Echoes and Roots. I'm Sabine, and I guide you back to nature, to your inner wisdom, and our ancestral ways of living in harmony with Mother Earth and the cosmos. Hello, and welcome everybody to today's show. And I have a guest today on the show, James from Age of Albion, and we are going to talk about spring water and connecting to our water, connecting to Mother Earth as well. And I actually asked James to introduce himself. Thanks so much for being here, James. So, do you
So,
want to do a little introduction?
yes, so my name is James Caggianelli. So mostly people know me by my channel, which is Age of Albion, so my YouTube and my Instagram. Recently I've been posting a lot about sacred springs. So all my life I've been into springs from the age of 12, going to Switzerland, finding my first spring. And since then I've been on a journey really, wondering why we didn't have pure water in England. But then I realised that we do, and it's all been buried, hidden, turned into war memorials, as we will, I'm sure, explain in this podcast. And it's been a journey really to find the remaining springs that are here, to connect with those sacred springs and energies that are emanating from these places, and documenting them and talking about the origin of consciousness when it comes to these springs. And that's where mainly what my channel is really about, which is Albion, the true name for England, the British Isles, sorry, and springs in general, water in collective consciousness.
Yeah, what I really love about your channel is like you really educate people a lot on by a spring water, why it's important, but also how to find different springs.
Yes.
And how did, because you started, when did you start drinking spring water exclusively?
So spring water exclusively was, I'd say, about 3 years ago. 3 years ago now, I started drinking just spring water as much as I can. This was a very hard thing to do really at first because I was struggling to find a spring. So it came when I went to Cornwall it was a family trip. I found a spring and I tracked it back to where it was emanating from the rocks. And I was thinking, this feeling of drinking pure water that you've collected yourself is unlike anything I've ever experienced before. So I knew that when I came back to where I live in Preston, which is in the northwest of England, I knew I needed to find out why there was not as many springs elsewhere in the country. So what I did was then research the old maps online and all sorts of different ways to try and find out where are the springs. So then I found out, I don't remember what the map was called, but it was a map where it had all of the original springs of the whole area, all of the ones that are still running, all of the ones that have been covered over, and so it's all been documented on this map. And I was thinking, this area of land we call Preston, which was originally Priest Town, where I live, is some of the most springs in the whole country. And I was thinking, why is there not one left to drink if there was all these springs? So that got me down the research in why the springs themselves have been covered over. What is it about the springs they are wanting to hide from the people? And then that got me to finding a little outlet of a spring in a park which used to be surrounded by water. I managed to find a little outlet that I was drinking for about a year and a half. It took me ages to fill up the bottles, but it was worth it. So I drank that for a year and a half. Then it just got too much to travel there, fill the bottles. So then I found a spring at a place called Great Budworth, which is a very a community feel to it. However, as we will probably explain in this podcast, is there's problems at the moment when it comes to the community that are living in Great Budworth. The parish council are talks of shutting it down like the rest of them. Now I feel like these agendas here, because they're using the nitrate rising levels as an excuse to shut it down. For me, that doesn't matter. If it's true and the nitrates are high, we need to find out why that is. We need to find out, do everything we can to make sure that there's no nitrates leaking into the source, not just shut the spring down completely. And if it's false, and if it's all a distortion to an excuse to shut down the spring, then it makes even more sense to fight to keep the spring open. But under no circumstances should we allow these springs to be shut off from the public. There should always be a drink at your own risk sign on every spring. and we cannot let the controllers shut down any more of these springs.
Yeah, I found it really because you have WhatsApp group as well, and I found it really interesting how you brought so many people together around this issue, around especially that spring, and really to see what can we be doing, right? How can we also cooperate and talk to the municipal it's really expressing also our own needs, in terms of wanting to have access to water, which is our birthright,
Yeah.
but then also as a source for, let's say, spirituality, connecting to Mother Earth and etc. And I really liked how you brought everyone together there,
Yeah.
and everybody was kind of chiming in and seeing what can be done, really.
Yeah, I think we can't do this alone, this journey. We've got to come together for the people that truly have this sacred connection to the waters. We have to find a way to come together. It's when it comes to generating community, there's a force in community, and when the community comes together for a cause that they truly believe in, that's right as well, that's true, such as basic necessities, such as access to free, clean spring water. It's not a difficult thing to ask for. It is an element of water. So there's so many people now, which I'm so grateful for, coming together, finding the channel, wanting to be a part of the group, and wanting to give to the cause that is springs, that is protecting the last of the springs, and hopefully in the future we can also generate even the same people in this group, whoever wants to join, to come together to rebuild the ones that have been lost and hidden as well, and find these, demand them back. They are belong to the land, they belong to the people, and the ones that I think they are higher up have no right to take these away from us. We truly need to take these back. But firstly, we need to have awareness on how sacred these waters are. On a deeper level, they have been hidden for a while because the collective consciousness is not ready to even acknowledge the sacredness of these waters. Most people think water's simply something to drink to quench our thirst and to keep us alive. And in a sense, it is. It does keep us alive, but there's so much more to it than just to keep us alive. It's the foundation of life. It holds the original consciousness of the mother goddess, the tradition that's been wiped out. Hence why the springs are being eradicated, because this tradition of deep reverence for the earth has been eradicated. We have been conditioned to believe God is a man sitting in the sky rather than in everywhere around us in all the elements. Is spirit, is the creator, the mother, the father as well. The father aspect and the mother come together to form wholeness, and the springs are the feminine aspect of the fire principle of the masculine. So we've been pushed away from this feminine principle of water. The springs have been taken away from us, and we've been fed tap water, bottled water, dead water, and the spiritual communities are inventing all sorts of new contraptions to energize the water, when we really just need to come back to the springs, which are free and all around us under our feet.
Yeah, I love how you explore a little bit around the there's kind of the feminine and the Mother Earth aspect to the springs, because it holds so much water, holds so much consciousness, and we used to all come together around sacred springs. Like, even like a lot from my own research into ancient sites, it's about like there has always been a spring, and
Yes.
later on churches were built there, temples were built there, but there's always been a sacred spring in the first place. And this is where we would originally gather, and then later we built these structures
That's it.
around it, and often even sometimes structures that work with the water. And we kind of forgot that we are here to work with these sacred waters. And yeah, it's the feminine aspect, it's the mother that's coming back, and we kind of have to take care of now. It's really a bottom up, like it's very this time bottom up, we
I love that.
coming
Yeah.
together to take care of the springs. What has changed for you? What have you recognized in yourself since you started drinking spring water?
I think that as soon as you even find a spring, before you even drink it, it's a sense of connection, because you have not just relied on someone to give you that. It's a connection to where it's come from. It's the same with people that talk about foraging, even hunting. That sense of actually thank they know where it comes from, and that means you're more grateful for what you've got, and you know that it's sustaining you. But you've actually put that energy in to make sure that then that is then sustaining you. So rather than being expected just to be provided with water, buying water from the shop, there's no connection there between you and the source. And the source is the mother, is the earth. So when we are communicating with the earth and finding our own springs, getting the water from that, not just health benefits because of the mineral content in certain waters, but it's also the spiritual awareness and the consciousness expansion that we get when we are communicating with the water. We have no idea the true power of this water, because it's full of crystalline memory, it's full of ancient wisdom, it's traveled through the core of the earth. And this is primary water that I'm talking about, not rainwater. This is primary water, water that's never reached the surface of the earth before. Or if it has, even if it has come from a deep aquifer, which is possible too, there's different types of springs. There's primary springs, there's rainwater springs, there's deep aquifer springs. This still comes from the earth, and when we are picking up the mineral content, the crystalline content, the energy from the earth, we are then taking that into our beings, drinking that, and then communicating with that, and it's going into our cells, literally going into our cells. Where there's dead water, or water from the shop, water from the taps, is doing the opposite. You know, it's still possible to bless that water, I have to admit. It is still possible to change the structure by blessing it, but if you bless spring water, it's going to have a lot more of an effect than if you just bless tap water. So there's still the physical facts that spring water is better in every way than the water that we get from the shops, which is labelled as spring water, but it's been so heavily manipulated that it's no longer water, and is actually really, in my opinion, a different substance. Tap water is definitely a different substance altogether with the added chemicals. So that can't be called water anymore.
Yeah, I think we often forget that everything around us is conscious. And when we consume something and we wear things, also our clothing, it has a certain level of consciousness. So now the clothes that are produced in, wherever China have a very different consciousness than in the old days when we would knit and sew and all of these things. So it's the same with the water.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when we
And
knit and sew, we slow down. It's slowness,
yeah, that's.
connection. Yeah,
Yeah, and also what I find so amazing is because of the minerals. These different springs have also different healing properties, and our, especially the Celtic ancestors in Great Britain, they used to know that.
they did. They knew that so much that they knew that to have the connection that they felt from the springs, they needed to build the first structures around the springs, which were the enclosures of the quartz, of the wells, which were arches, which were sacred fountains and statues and symbols. The Celts were meant to have been one of the first people, civilizations in the West that built these actual structures over the springs, and these structures are said to protect the integrity of the water as it comes out. So it enhances the energy, but also protects the purity of the water as it comes out of the well. So rather than it being just a pool coming out of the ground, which is more susceptible to energetic changes, the purity of the rock, it's protecting the water, it's enclosing over it. So it's more of when somebody takes the water, they go through the well, the arch, they come through and they get the water from the actual pipe, which they've then piped. It's more of a sense of the humans are interacting with the water rather than just left to come out of its own accord. They wanted that connection, they wanted to build an offering, and the offering was the structure.
Yeah, it's so interesting, no? How we used to really co-create when we were building structures with Mother Earth, and now we kind of forgot totally that, and then
Totally,
just built
yeah.
whatever, and then yeah.
Yeah, now we just build horrific glass, horrible plastic buildings with no personality and no soul and nothing. Just covering all of the ancient springs and trees and everything.
Yeah. But don't you also think when people start, again, for instance, doing things like drinking spring water, that they will actually start to remember our old ways, how we used to connect to Mother Earth, how we really co created with her, and had also this knowledge in the end of the day about, for instance, the different health qualities of water.
Yeah, yeah. When we communicate with and we drink this water, we reawaken that ancient memory within ourselves, within our beings. All of this water has been there since the beginning of time. You know, it's water that when we tune into, we're tuning into all of the wisdom that came before us. So we're not just tuning into the water as just a something to keep us alive, like I said before. We are we're really tuning into the wisdom of the mother in its original form, not in its form that in the illusionary society of now, all the lies, all the distortion. The mother holds the pure truth that is not being manipulated, and that is when we open ourselves to that power. Not everybody's ready, and I'm not saying that it's because people are behind or ahead of each other. It's because there is a period of evolution that where at some point in our lives we are ready to access this water. For me, obviously, I had to wait until what 1920 to have the awareness to even drink spring water, as like to go out and find it. But I'd always have that like push to find it since I was 12, 13 and in Switzerland, finding that spring. But then during that time before, from 12, was it 13, 12 to
Yeah.
about 19, that period I kind of forgot a little bit. And then I got brought back into it when I found the one in Cornwall. But it was always there pushing me towards water. Always this fascination towards running water.
Yeah. I mean, it's also amazing how Mother Earth is guiding us in many ways, if we have also the patience and allow it to unfold in a natural
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
And don't you think she was calling you? I always think that, even especially at this time, a lot of us were called here to also really reconnect with Earth herself.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the earth,
Yeah.
you do, and the earth when it comes to the sacred sites is so important. Sometimes when we go to a sacred site, by sacred site I mean a spring, an ancient
Yeah.
forest, a grove, where the standing stones are, where the ancients felt a shift in energy, which is a bit different to other places, and this is because of the congregation in earth energies, which is the energies that have created this reality, really, and the energies that still pulsate among our realm. These energies have been taken over at times, sometimes diverted and used for different purposes that are not always of the best intention, because this energy is so powerful. It's the Kundalini, the serpent of the earth. It's the serpent energies, the serpent pathways of the earth that we also have in our own bodies. We have these serpent pathways, which the ancients kind of took over when the George slayed the dragon. It was kind of slaying the serpent energies, or controlling or subduing the serpent energies. Some
Yeah.
say that on other terms, it could also symbolise not completely subduing the serpent energies, but also having control in the fact that you know the power over them, but you don't let them control you, because the serpent energies of the body that they can produce so much power that people can use them for the wrong end. And but when we go to these sacred sites, we feel charged. We charge our bodies with these energies, and that's why people get attracted to certain sites around the world.
Yeah, but I also isn't it sometimes people want back a level of connection that we are missing, to
Yeah,
like God, to just nature,
oh, of course, the simple
because
connection. Yes,
yeah, we came like sort of we live so far away from this now, and then but we have those memories of our ancestors.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
go on. Yeah,
yeah, I also think it's incredible because we used to be able to drink all waters, like we used to be able to drink from a river, and
oh yeah.
sometimes I think we forget that, like.
I know, straight from the river. Nowadays, they're so polluted, it's unreal. I was just speaking to someone the other day. There's a river called the Loon River, which is in a place called Lancaster. People only think it was about 50 years ago they saw salmon, so much salmon. It was swarming with salmon, the river. Nowadays, they see maybe two salmon in the river. And that just shows how far downhill these rivers have gone. And the rivers are the veins of the earth. They are just
Yeah.
as important as the springs. We have got to put an awareness on healing the rivers and the springs. The waters of earth, the waters in our own bodies are both connected. And like you say, the simple connection to the earth that our ancestors had, the tribes that are connected to the earth and that know the earth so well, they know how to tread carefully without making a mess, without harming the earth. They take what they need. They give honor and reverence to the divine that created earth. They know the trees. They know what to eat. They know what to drink. They know animal signals. They know so much wisdom. Stars, tracking
Yes.
stars, signals on the earth. So this is connection to the earth that we've lost. And this is simple connection. It's simple to these people. They don't understand why modern people don't have these abilities. We've been conditioned out of them, but we have these within us. Once we
Yeah.
connect back to the earth in a simple way, to enjoy the fresh air, the sun, the wind on our face, the rain when it rains, these simple things, just to be present, to meditate with the earth, get out in the sun, put your feet on the ground, and truly tune into the earth around you. This is God. If you want to find God, just go outside. That's it.
Yeah, and I also think this knowledge is dormant in us because we have the DNA of our ancestors. So it's like it's there, and it's kind of. I sometimes always imagine like our ancestors walking barefoot and literally walking on the waterways, and they could feel the energetic property of that spring, of that water,
Yeah,
and also what it's like. Because I also visit standing stones and things like that, and even with the like when you have these single standing stones, they usually are built on a waterway, and they emit then very specific frequencies that heal your heart or they heal your throat because of that water that's underneath running.
yes,
And
yeah,
I'm just like so blown away. I'm like, our ancestors knew this, they knew what the water is doing, and then
yeah.
they
They
built a
knew
stone that way.
exactly,
Right?
exactly. And in these
Yeah.
sites, which is why we're so grateful that we've still got so many of these sites around. Even though so many have been destroyed, we've still got quite a lot of sites around the world where we can really feel the power that our ancestors had, the knowledge that they had. Like you said at the start, obviously churches and structures like that were then built over different time periods, different churches, different cathedrals, and so on. That originally were not even for religious purposes; they were for electromagnetic purposes, I believe.
Yes.
They were
Yeah.
harnessing electromagnetic energy in the signs and symbols, the antennas harnessing the ether, working with the water to as diamagnetism. The canals were diamagnetism, energizing the water. All over the world, we have star forts that were in cymatic perfection. So at one point, we did have a grid of electromagnetic energy, but I do believe that this grid got too big, too massive, and we forgot the simple, and we neglected the sites before that. That incredible, it was an incredible civilization. Don't get me wrong in terms of technology, but that was not the original civilization.
Yeah, I always think sometimes of humans, we sometimes think too far, then we get
Yeah,
very into technology, a little bit what we're doing now, and
yeah.
then things go wrong.
That's it. Now
Very
is a great example. Like you
Yeah.
can have as much technology as you want, but it doesn't mean that you're the most advanced race just because you have the
No.
most advanced technology. So it depends what you do with that technology. If it's in balance with the earth or is it not in balance with the earth? Has it got too big? Have you walked too far with it? And now with I don't know AI or whatever, like it's mad how far gone this has gone now. Like how far we are into it as a civilization that it's almost scary. Not that I'm like too much fear into it, but AI, for example, takes up so much water. It's it takes up monumental amounts of water that people are wondering why there's droughts. It's because it's going to these servers, I believe, to keep these cool. And this is it blows my mind at how much this is going, and people are putting energy into this and using it, and the brain will not be there once people keep using this. If we keep sacrificing our own powers,
Yeah, I find this is something that's often totally not talked about, how much water is used up by AI.
yes, yeah, I know it's a very important subject. It can't continue.
Yeah, but I almost see like a little bit like some people will go into the whole transhumanism and some people will not. And they will go really trying to protect Earth and protect the resources. And it's going to be very interesting what will happen.
It will, and I believe that there is going to be multiple splits, multiple distractions coming. But it's part of this reality that the divine has chosen to test humanity to come through this. Now we're going to have a lot of strange circumstances that are going to start to happen with the technology that they're bringing in. But for those that truly are listening to their heart and listening to the true self, the soul, we can't be deceived once we know have a certain level of awareness of ourselves, I believe. And it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah. And I also think we've kind of forgotten how advanced our own body is in a level of as its own technology.
It's the
Like
most
our
advanced.
own body is made of water, and we were the one we are engaging with Mother Earth, right? And we were the one who was sensing all these energetic lines, the waterways, and so we are so advanced ourselves. But
Yeah,
we kind of outsource that trust and give it to the church
yeah,
or to AI.
yeah. We always tend to outsource things as humanity, not having faith that we are all
Yeah.
gods, if you know what I mean. We've all got the ability within us to rejuvenate, to heal, to produce miracles, to produce magic. We've got the power in our every cell. Just think about every day. Just be grateful that you don't have to beat your heart. You don't have to think about breathing. You don't have to digest. Your body just does these things. It just knows. It's got an intelligence beyond you, beyond your rational mind. So imagine what other intelligences that are dormant within the dormant DNA. Imagine all of the DNA that is like they call junk. Also the stem cells that we are born with as spare they don't get put to use. The stem cells that when we were born produce organs. Now I know the people might think I'm crazy here, but I don't see why stem cells that are spare can't go to produce another organ or another limb or another tooth if you lose a tooth. That I don't get why they wouldn't be able to do that if we have that connection with that. Like there's so much power in our bodies that we've forgotten to heal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know this is not junk DNA, what they call junk. It's our
No,
dormant DNA.
no.
It's yeah. How do you, when people, because you said it was hard for you to find springs. So now
Yeah.
I know in the UK now there's actually quite more awareness about springs. But what do you advise for people when they go about, hey, I want to find spring water? How?
Well, I would say that there is. If you type in on what in Google, if you really want to find a local one, just type in on the internet. Just say local springs, sacred springs in wherever you are. There's a few really good websites that I've used before. I think one's called uh, the megalithic. I forgot what it was called. Maybe we could link it in if I find it
Yeah.
after. Megalithic something.
Mhm.
Findaspring.com is a big one.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and we have there is one more that I'll try and get, and we can link them in hopefully at the end of the description if we find them. But I think that the main thing is if you want to truly find new sites as well, go to the churches, go to the sacred sites, see if you can find water that's still running somewhere. This is what I've been doing, and this is what I'm trying to find near me, is going to these places, trying to find the lost springs. It can be difficult because they've been buried, diverted, turned into war memorials. War memorials are sacred springs. They were where the sacred springs used to be, and they were filled in with slate, marking all of the people that lost their lives in the war. These were originally all of the springs. The obelisks mark the springs as well. The function of the obelisks, I'm not entirely sure. But I have seen springs coming out the obelisks a lot of the time as well. So
Mhm.
these are our little techniques that we can use to find springs. I've also got my guide that hopefully we may be able to link
Yeah.
in the description. That I
Yes.
have lots of springs that I've been to myself, and a little bit of information and actual pictorial evidence, image evidence of these obelisks and springs and war memorials being former sites of springs. But yeah, I just say just really just scan the internet for local springs that the community has already found if you want to actually get a reliable water source from somewhere near you. In the northwest, if you are in the northwest, at the moment we've really only got Great Budworth. We've got Higham Spring, which is near in Burnley, I think, or Blackburn, Burnley. I think it might be Burnley. Higham Spring. We've got Liverpool Cathedral, which a lot of people go to. With the spring is still running in the cathedral, which is very, very good to see that that's still running. They're the only three really I know of right now in the whole of Lancashire. And bearing in mind, Lancashire used to have hundreds of sacred springs.
Yes.
Um, but if you are elsewhere in the country, London area I know has quite a few. Northumberland, I've got a few in my guide that I've drunk from that, which is incredible. We've got St Mary's in a place called Gainforth, or is it Gainford? I think it's Gainforth or Gainford. That's a stunning spring, that. And I've been to Cornwall documenting a lot of springs there. So there is many great springs. Devon, we've got Leechwell, the Leechwell Gardens, Totnes. That is in a place called Totnes. Powerful place on a ley line. And then we've got springs at Stone Circles. We've got one at the Nine Ladies Stone Circle, which is in the Peak District. And we've got still springs running. There's one at an abbey in Yorkshire, which was, I forgot which one the abbey called, Jervaux Abbey. There's a
Mm.
spring on that on the lands of that abbey as well. But I'm not certain if all of these springs are what you call safe to drink, but I just drink them anyway. I never test them. I go off my own senses, but I'm not responsible if anyone decides to drink. You drink at your own risk, as I always say, and
Yeah.
test it if you really want rational security over what's exactly in these springs. So yeah,
Yeah, so your guide is really good. I used it when I was in South France to find a couple of springs.
amazing.
And also how you describe, even because looking around the churches is really good. Also, for instance, South Germany, you have a lot of times still you see the structures
Yes,
from the springs. When do you think were most of them closed? Because it seems like beginning of this century, no, 19th
yes.
century or something.
The majority that got closed and properly capped or turned into the war memorials
Mm.
were the late 1800s to especially World War One and World War Two, were the
Yeah,
resets, were the period where they started implementing the controlled world, and
yeah,
this is the period where they went behind everyone's backs and covered all of these springs over, turned them into war memorials, which is very clever, as well as because literally they're honouring the dead instead of the living water. And then
yeah,
also they are. It's very hard to then say, look, this is a spring. I want to get rid of all the names of people that died in the war and fought for my country. So
yes,
it pulls on the
yeah.
hearts of the people. You don't want to be seen demolishing a war memorial because people
Mm.
think you're against all of the war and what people fought
Yeah,
for. You know, if they really cared, they would have put the war memorial next to the spring, but not taken over the
yes,
spring.
yeah. And you can see, especially in South France and all the villages, you can see where there's still some of the springs, but there are so many. And
Yeah,
you can
south.
also see the
Yeah,
Roman
yeah, south of France.
memorials, and it's like when once you open your eyes, you're like, oh my God, yeah,
Stunning
and
place. Ren Laban, Alet Laban.
yeah,
The springs is incredible. Them places, the hot springs as well.
yeah. And I wanted to go back to, is it safe to drink? Because that's going to be the concern for many people. What, from your experience, because you just said you're going from your own, like basically feeling into it, but people can get tests, right? Where would they get a test? Like,
Yeah, so if you want a basic test, you can get them off the internet. I don't. A lot of people get them off Amazon, which are
yeah,
little strip tests which show exactly what's um, meant to be in the water. So you have certain bacteria and nitrates and so on. A lot of people use them if they want rational security and peace of mind over these springs. But myself, I've drank from so many springs all over Europe, all over England, all over Cornwall, all over Wales. I've never been ill once, and so it's a largely overblown. The nonsense that they create with the springs are contaminated. I will only
yeah,
say that at times if it's a groundwater spring, there is a chance that the runoff goes through farmland, can pick up
yes,
excess chemicals and artificial
yeah,
nitrates and things like that, and that can contribute towards the test showing not quite as
yeah,
safe. So, and also if you are, yeah, so if you are going a place where there's farm animals, you've got a dead sheep or cow higher up on the stream, you can leach on through that, creates a bit of problems there. But normally the springs don't run off through farmland; they come up. So it's very rare, especially when it comes from a deep aquifer or a primary spring, that it's even got close to any man-made layer of earth ever. So that is the difference between a groundwater spring, which you will see if it's a groundwater spring because it
yeah.
runs dry in drought. But if it's a true
Mm,
spring, it never runs dry, and
okay,
a lot of them have never run dry in history. People have said that this spring has never ever run dry or been recorded to run dry. This is a primary spring. Primary springs are water that is from the Earth's womb. So it's produced from the gas, from hydrogen, from oxygen, and it's produced over millions of years as from gas to liquid, and then it comes out as a spring under pressure. Nothing to do with the rainwater cycle. It's all a separate cycle underneath the earth. These are the waters plural. So you've got the waters below, which are the primary springs, the waters above, the rain, and this is these are the two separate systems that come together. Everything then meets in the sea. The sea is the congregation of all waters, all rain, all primary springs, all streams, all ponds. Everything eventually ends up in the sea. The sea is the divine, I could really the connection between all the waters. But
Yeah.
if you just go off your senses, if you want rational security, buy a test. You can get really high level lab tests done, which will show you if that is the spring that you know you're going to be drinking all year for your life. You want to get a good quality test done for peace of mind. Go for it as well.
Yeah. Would you say that most of the springs are primary springs because they are coming already from our ancestors?
In my feeling, in my experience, yes. I cannot say for certainty, but in my
Yeah.
experience, yes. And I believe that it is a huge lie that they are fed by rainwater because they would run dry. There's not enough rain for the amount of water that some of these springs produce constantly over years and years. It's like in the deserts and the oases in the deserts of Morocco, where they're producing water constantly with no rain, and these are primary springs. These are what the desert the people that were connected to the desert back in the ancient times in the Berber tribes, they would have identified these primary springs and built the settlements around it, just like all
Yeah.
the other civilizations and all the other countries and continents built all their main cities, their towns around these springs. And then when the new time came to get rid of them, they made up the virus and bacteria lie, which means that they are literally they're saying that they are poisonous, and then they got consent from the people to bring in a new supply, which was safe. It's always safety is their main way of controlling the people. So they invented the
Yeah.
virus lie. I won't get into it on this podcast, but in my book to come and a lot of my videos on Instagram, the virus, in my opinion and my research, doesn't. Well, in fact, it's been proven it doesn't exist. Viruses don't exist. Bacteria does exist. It's life itself. We are bacteria. We are more bacteria than human cells, and we've been conditioned to be scared of bacteria. Um, you know, it's one of the biggest distortions and distractions that are known to man, to be scared of something that we are. So we're scared of ourselves, really.
Yeah. Safety is like our, how do you call it, the Achilles heel? Like, and I think it's important for people also to understand that they always work with like our consent, but usually it's like by basically just saying we're going to do this and this, and because we don't say no, it
Yeah,
means we're giving consent. So,
it does. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and
yeah.
it would trigger a lot of people when they hear things like like I'm not a scientist. I'm just someone who researches, someone who observes life, and when it comes to bacteria, it's very similar to when you watch a tree, a rotten tree. Okay, so the bacteria or the fungus comes to eat that tree away, but didn't kill the tree in the first place. The tree fell down, it rotted, so the bacteria, the fungus, they come to eat the tree away. It's like the fire engine analysis. When a fire is when a little kid sees a fire for the first time, they don't see the fire engine come and think, and every time there's a fire, they see the fire engine. So, but they don't think that fire engine causes the fire. It's actually there to put it out. If they didn't get told that the fire engine causes the fire by the parents, they would begin to suspect that the fire engine was causing the fire because the fire happened every time the fire engine came. So, which is the same with bacteria. The bacteria comes to clean the the cellular debris in the body, and then it's labelled because it's at the scene of the crime. It doesn't mean it's the perpetrator. So the bacteria is always spotted by the microscope at the scene of an infection, but it comes to clean away the infection, which is a result of cellular debris.
Yeah.
So this is what bacteria is, and virus is a whole nother story. That doesn't even exist. That's just non-living.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just we have very like modern views now on disease. Even from my background from Chinese medicine, we see disease very different. For instance, when someone has a fever, we see it as something positive because we know the body is helping to
Yes,
clean out, and you shouldn't put down the fever unless it's really life threatening.
yes.
But yeah, it's yeah,
Yeah, there is when it obviously when there is a time and a place for medicine and true
yeah,
medicine, the plant medicines, the herbs, the fruits, even homeopathy has a place. You know,
yeah,
all these natural ways of healing that aid the body when it comes to its healing process. Aid it. They don't do it for the body. They help the body go through the healing. That's the big mistake that people do is they want to cure. There's no cure. The body is the cure. It just
yeah,
helps the body get through the healing. But all of the modern medicine is designed to suppress the symptom. The symptom is the healing. So when modern medicine suppresses the symptom, you're pushing it further and further into the body, and then the illness comes back worse and worse and worse until the body cannot cope physically anymore.
yeah. I'm also always telling people when I do acupuncture, like, I'm not the one healing you. I'm like helping your body with
Yeah,
signals to heal itself and to,
yes,
yeah. But yeah, we kind of want to always, we want to have a quick fix.
yes. Quick fix society. Patch up. Quick fix. Yes.
But I put something on it. Band-aid. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, like, when we think about, okay, ideally we would like to have our springs opened again, right, and
Yeah.
available to the public? What can we actually do in a friendly way, right? Kind of cooperating with the our municipals or whatever. What, from your experience, what are your thoughts on that?
It's already happening. It's already
Mm,
happening. The reopening? There's a few projects going on at the moment, community projects,
yeah,
which have been sent by multiple followers. I've also know a friend myself who has really actually done it all himself. He's just found an ancient spring and started doing it up. He started piping it. He started building it again. He started unblocking it, and he's even told me that he believes that it's blocked on purpose, which is no
mm,
surprise. So he's done that all out of his own time, all out of his own money. But there's also community projects going on that are cleaning wells out, reinstating old pipes. These are all the people coming together, the communities. It's as simple as that. Once a certain
yeah,
level of community sees a spring, they want it back. The governments and councils have no power, they have no choice unless they put the people into fear again and make them scared and get the
mm,
consent again from the people like they did last time. But once the awareness in the springs and the masses start to see this, then truly we will have to open all the springs again. They have no choice but to let us. Until
yeah,
then, it's going to be the minority. The minority is going to be doing it because the masses have not reached that even awareness of what springs are. But
yes,
it's
yeah,
happening more and more every day that people are waking up to this fact. And I believe that eventually humanity will reach a level of consciousness that reaches the springs level of consciousness once more. It matches then. At the moment, we're nowhere near the level of the purity of the water. Hence why, on a deeper level, the divine has hidden these a lot of the powerful springs from the people. But obviously, all of the councils, governments, controllers have shut them over. But I believe on a divine level, there's a divine level that's operating even above them, and on a
mm,
divine level, it's been hidden, buried as for safety for the springs, not for us, for the springs. Because imagine if they were out there now, people would be littering them, they'd be partying
yeah,
next to them, they'd be doing
yeah,
drugs next to them, dishonoring them, polluting them. The humanity's consciousness is not aligned with the sacredness. In Bali, places like Bali, they still honor the springs. We still honor the springs here. Certain people, certain groups are still connected, but as a mass,
yeah,
we've nowhere near.
yeah. No.
We're so far off.
It's really interesting thought. I've never thought about this from the standpoint that, of course, we have to reach a certain level of consciousness to also, because we are, I really believe we are the guardians of all the planet and its
Yeah,
sacred sites. But in order to really fully access them again, because we even have so many healing waters, like in the oceans too. And very few people know about this, but it's also people that have a very high level of consciousness that know, okay, this is something sacred
yeah,
if I want to work with this.
mhm. Yeah,
Because, yeah, as you said, now many people would just litter it. They wouldn't understand it in so many ways. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Are you talking about the waters, the fresh water below the ocean, or the ocean itself?
Yeah, pockets of the ocean itself. But
Yeah,
then we
yeah,
also have, of course, we have these deeper oceans as well
yeah,
that are
yeah, yeah.
below our oceans.
They've been finding
Yeah,
fresh water
mm,
below the ocean, which is the primary water,
yeah,
which is emerging up, not rain coming down. It's literally emerging up, like
yeah,
I've been saying before. And then we also, oh, yeah, I've just been
yeah,
thinking then, but yeah, we also never forget that the hot springs, the thermal springs, that
yeah,
we used to have bathhouses all over the realm, all over Britain as well. We used to have huge, incredible architectural masterpieces that used to house these ancient hot springs. People used to bathe in mineral springs, hot springs, cold springs, springs in between. They used to change the temperature of them. They used to have different healing procedures that they used to go through, and this was all to do with healing through water, which the Babylonian word doctor, which was asu, asu, it means the one who knows water. So the doctors used to know water. They used to help cure illnesses through water because they knew that we were water too. So all of these have also been destroyed. Near where I live, 20 minutes from where I am now in my camper, which is in Preston, 20 minutes from here was the one of Europe's most incredible, powerful hot springs. And this was taken over. Now, funnily enough, David Lloyd's, the huge corporation, have built their site on top of it. So it's all either unconsciously or consciously taken over by something that still has some level of truth in it. So that's why we see cafes, restaurants with spring in the name. We have road names with spring in the name. We have all sorts of different types of water towers near old springs. Anytime there's a little sign or a symbol, either spring in the name, well in the name, or anything like that, this is where the springs used to be. And either, like I say, unconsciously or consciously, these old gyms with modern spas are built over sites of old spas. That's just like old new churches are built over the site of old churches.
yeah.
Just like everything has like a remembrance. Now, a lot of this time it's done on purpose. A lot of the time it's done unconsciously, like small businesses naming their little businesses after what was there, but they didn't have any idea. It's something that's channeled through them that was helps them remember what was there before.
Yeah, and the hot springs are actually really important because again they come up. There's a fault line somewhere, and
Yeah,
so there's also a change in the how do you call it, in the consciousness of the water itself. So it's a very powerful spot energetically.
very powerful. Yes, and
Yeah,
the hot springs were utilized by all the civilizations, the Celts, the Romans. They all valued the hot springs, and nowadays we 99.9% of the hot springs have gone. They've completely gone. The couple that are left are
yeah,
still, I think, added with chemicals now in Buxton, and there's another place in England. But in terms of the loss of these places, we are now not exposing ourselves to the pure waters. We've not we've completely cut contact with the idea of a true bath, a true spa. Nowadays we don't have spas. People think that they go to a spa when they go to a leisure centre. That's not a spa. You're ruining your own body by going in chlorine. It blows my mind how far we've gone from when these places used to be
yeah,
at their
and
finest.
yeah, and what I find interesting that actually it isn't that long ago that we had the knowledge because sometimes we think so far out. Oh, Atlantis was a great time. Well, I'm a bit
Mm.
more critical about Atlantis, but no, these places are like 140 years old or so.
They are. We still
It
had
isn't that long
these
ago
places.
actually.
The one that I was talking about, which was 20 minutes
Mm.
from me, was still going
Yeah,
in, I think it was 1870. So
yeah,
1870, they had tennis, they had baths, they had holiday resorts, all in one place. Hundreds of thousands of people used to come to this place every summer and then go to Blackpool Beach for their summer holidays. So this place was one of the finest places. This place is called Whittley Woods. Now it's only a
Mm.
small village with David Lloyd's gym put in its place.
Yeah, so it isn't really, it was really also the first, Second World War was a massive reset
Yes,
in so
definitely.
many ways.
Hmm.
But the knowledge isn't that long ago. Like, we don't have to dig so far to
No.
come back to some more natural ways of surrounding ourselves with really healthy water.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's been the last hundred or so years we've truly gone so far downhill that we've reached a point where we could either come together and be the best civilization it's ever been, or we could literally be the worst civilization that's ever been, like ever, like the most disconnected. We could be. The ancients would scarcely believe we were the same species if they saw the majority of people now.
I don't know. I think we blew ourselves up a couple of times. So I feel like, you know,
Definitely. We
we've been
the
crazy
the
before.
Earth believes in us unless it would have blown itself up before now.
Yeah. There's still chances,
Yeah.
but yeah. Yeah. But I'm just wondering, is there anything else that you have still on your mind for people to just, get closer to water?
I'd say I'd say to find your local water source. It doesn't have to be a spring. It can be a river, it can be a stream, because it's said by a tradition. I forgot what tradition this is. It might come to me, but there's a tradition that says that your Earth Mother is your closest water source. Your Earth Mother. Each individual has its own Earth Mother, and your Earth Father is your nearest hill, your nearest raised hill. So find these two sites and you will get a better connection to the earth around you. And keep visiting these sites. Pay offerings. Not offerings in the sense that you have to keep giving random little objects, but give it an offering of thanks. Give it song. Maybe give it a flower or something like that, or a little crystal. But you don't need to keep giving it physical things. Give it your love. Give it your attention. Give it your awareness. And in time, you may even find that it starts to speak to you in a language beyond words. This language is the language of the universe, the language of the world, the language which everything communicates. This is not English, this is not French, this is not German. This is the language of the universe, the language that all souls communicate in resonance. So try this activity. Go to your nearest spring, stream, river, and hill and find your local mother and father that brought you up into this earth.
I really love that. Really, especially also for people or for regions where it's harder to find a spring, but everybody has a source of water close to them. And in the Vienna, Netherlands, we don't have a hill.
No, a little raised
What
bit
are we gonna
maybe.
do?
A tiny little raised bit, no?
It's very flat.
Is it? Is it just completely flat? Oh no, well I'm not sure that'll work there then.
Yeah, I need to think about, but I talk a lot to trees. So for me, it's like that's the connection because we have trees here as well.
Yes.
So because if you can't talk to a hill, you can always talk or communicate or just connect to some trees, and it's the same. There's water flowing through. That's what I also love trees because the water is flowing through the tree. So you have the
Hmm.
feminine, but you also have the structure of the masculine. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. I love this. How can people find you, James?
So they
And
can find, yeah, you can find me on my Instagram, which is Age of Albion, and my YouTube, which is the same Age of Albion. I have my website, which is jamescaggianelli.com. Which we'll try and leave the links in the description. And my guide as well is out. I'm also working on a book, which is going to be a while, like before it's out, but it is a lot to do with what we've been discussing in this podcast, which is springs and the origin of consciousness, and so mixed together is where the origins of life came from, which is directly connected to water, but also where we could be as humanity if we truly connected back to the earth and to our souls. So this is the book that I'm working on, as well as a few more stories. I have got one book out at the moment, which is a story, but it's based on truth, on my own experience, and also with a lot of not just my own experience, but it's also mixed with my own visions. So a lot of it hasn't happened. A lot of it is story. A lot of it is fiction, but it's all muddled up into like a story called Destiny of the World. So this is my book that I've got out. It's on Amazon, but it's also on my website as an ebook as well, if you are interested in that.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks so much. And you also have for the people who are local to your spring, right? And that's in Budworth, the one
Yes.
where you have a WhatsApp group for the initiative to keep that one open.
Yeah, so if you are interested in joining the WhatsApp group, which is the WhatsApp group on Sacred Springs, and to join the community there, just give me a message on Instagram and I will send you the link to the WhatsApp group and we can connect on there.
Yeah. Thanks so
Thank you
much.
so
Really
much.
love.
Thank you.
And hopefully everybody got inspired to get some spring water and just connect to Mother Earth. So thanks so much everyone for listening, and I see you next time.
Thank you.
Follow me on Instagram at Echoes and Roots for grounded spirituality, ancient wisdom, and nature-based living.